Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Jocelyn Conley, pelvic floor physical therapist, and in this video I'm going to cover common errors that I see when people are executing any variation of the squat. First thing that I notice is starting position. Some people are way arched in their lower back, or their pelvis is really tipped forward, so they are like here when they squat and they can't get really deep. That can be something that is a recruitment problem, meaning a connection with a person's body and their muscles with it, and then with the movement. It could be they're too stiff in their hip flexors and their low back and they're not strong enough or aware enough in their core to balance that out to get into a neutral position. Very common in postpartum women and just new exercisers. The second thing I notice is when someone learns how to get in neutral, they get in neutral, and then when they start, they lose it and their chest starts to come forward. And their hips, it's moving back, but their ribs and their pelvis and hips are not connected. That again could be a strength coordination issue with their core in their core and the rest of their body. So that we need to address that as well. Third thing is when someone is moving, they start here and they get down, and then they start to round in their back, and they're here instead of in this motion here. So they're rounded, or they go so low and then they round. And they don't even know that they do it. Sometimes it's intentional, but when it's not intentional, that, at least in new squatters or new exercisers, I don't want them to necessarily get into that habit and think that's good technique for basics. So if that is you want to stop before there until you can control it. Another thing that I see is just lack of control. They just go down and up, and they go so fast. So slow it down. And oftentimes it's they're not using their muscles. They're really just momentum and their elasticity and their tendons. Another thing I see is knees move first before hips. And if that's intentional, great. If it's not, then let's pull back and learn how to use your hips either at the same time or first. Another thing I see is the feet cave because of mobility deficits in the ankles. So while we're working on ankle mobility, you can put a little bit of a lift underneath your ankle so you have more freedom to move, so that you're not caving, because when you cave, your knees are going to cave and it goes all the way up the chain. Other thing that I see is along with that is their heels lifting. So that, you don't want to do that. And then, there's a bunch of different things. I'll see shifting and asymmetry because of something happening up at the spine and the pelvis and the hips. Maybe it's a mobility deficit, an asymmetry in their connection with their body from a core standpoint. I do see that often in significant asymmetries in pelvic floor performance and hip stabilizer performance and just connection with the core. And then toes lifting, I talked about that before. That's not necessarily an error, but it does impact your overall quality of the squat. Now that isn't one of the first things that I am nitpicky about most of the time, but I can be. And then let's see, any other ones? There is a bunch. Let's talk about breath. What I often see is people not breathing when they squat. And again, it's not right or wrong, but you're leaving a lot on the table, especially when you're just building foundations. Breath support or holding your breath, it can be really come in handy down the road, but not in the beginning. You're cheating yourself if you're holding your breath in the beginning. Now, some people, they have something when I see some people that had different things happen to them, they do need breath support, and that's the exception, not the rule. So we covered common errors that I see with squatting, and that was along the lines of spinal control, knee control, ankle mobility, and foot stuff, and breath. If you have any questions about this, please comment below. Know that this isn't all of it, and there are a lot of different ways to correct, which I might cover that in the next video. But if you want to see, you want your squat analyzed and get a prescription of how to fix it, then the best thing is to work with a professional, because the way it looks can be so many different things, so many different drivers that are not what I mentioned as well. So thank you so much for watching. Next video, I'm going to talk about how to enhance your squat. I'll see you on the next video.